Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. I'm Kel McDonald, and I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Alina Pete, and I make comics that you can read at alina-pete.com or at weregeek.com.
Okay, according to my stream levels, your audio is coming in just fine, so that's good.
Alright, sweet. My headset, I had to do a last minute headset change before we got in here. How are you doing today?
Okay, just was working, watched
Cool.
Our Flag Means Death.
Oh god, I want to get into that so bad. I've seen
Um,
so much stuff about it. I need to watch it. How about we're pirates today? I want to draw pirate versions of us.
Good. I support this decision.
I'm also
I
giving
like
myself
that.
really angry.
I like in the first episode, they're like he has all of his crew sew different flags.
Good.
Um, and then we'll vote on which flag to use. And one guy just like puts a cat like licking its paw on the flag, and someone says like, "What's so scary about cats?" He goes, cats are terrifying because they're witches and they have knives in their feet."
That's true. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Gopher. Gopher was saying I have weird sound levels on mine, but I think I fixed it.
Okay. That's good.
So we're
Glad
good.
that.
Hooray. Yeah, so for those who missed it, we're pirates tonight because
Yeah, because Our
you
Flag
should
Means Death
watch
is
Our
great.
Flag Means Death.
Um, Also this week I watched Minx,
I don't think
which
I've
is
heard of that
also
one.
an HBO show that's new. It's about a feminist porno magazine.
Oh, good.
Um,
I don't know why I've given you a beard, but I'm just going with it.
as long as I get to be Blackbeard,
That's
I'm
that's
fine.
kind of what I was thinking.
All right.
I do need I do need pirate Taika Waititi in my life. It's a
Apparently,
necessity.
Pirate Taika Waititi is just wearing the Mad Max outfit
Good.
from Road Warrior. Um, but
Excellent.
uh, what else? So yeah, so Minx is about a feminist porno magazine. This lady, it takes place in the 70s. This lady wants to make a new type of women's magazine. She wants to call it The Matriarchy Awakens, and it has like a stereotypical angry feminist on the cover.
Good.
Um, and no one will pick it up except for this guy who he gives his card to her, and it says the other magazine that he's the publisher of, and
Hmm.
it's uh, Milky Moms, Bountiful Bottoms, Fantastic Feet. Like, so it's all um,
Good. Good.
porn. Um,
Hmm.
and so he tells her that well, she's like telling him off. She uh, drops the like prototype of her magazine, and he reads it and calls her up. And while she was telling him off, she said like, "We're what are you gonna do? Like, have yourself be the centerfold and fill it with naked dudes?" And so
She's like, yes.
after reading her magazine, he's like, um, "Your magazine is very like dense, academically, so it is hard to read, but there's a lot of good stuff in there." So he says he compares her articles to medicine. And then he's like, "But and how do you get a dog to take its medicine? You dip it in peanut butter. So what's your peanut butter?
It's nudity.
Naked dudes."
The peanut butter is nudity.
Yeah, the peanut butter is dicks,
Good. All right.
specifically. And he wins her over by being like, "You're all about equality. Well, there are 20 different magazines that a man can get to see some breasts.
Hmm.
But why is it? It's unfair that women can't go find dicks anywhere." Um, and It's
So
very
if
funny.
you are committed to equality,
Yeah.
that's how to do it.
So yeah,
Good.
so when I first saw ads for it, I was a little worried that it's gonna be kind of like this feminist bitch needs to
Right.
lighten up.
Right. Right.
She does need to lighten up, but not because she's a feminist, but because she's kind of a classist snob. Um,
Gotcha. Different
uh,
problem.
yeah, so I appreciate that whenever the magazine guy is telling her off, that's why, and not
Nice.
because
And not because you're feminist.
yeah,
Grr.
it's stuff like
That's fun.
she wrote an article that's like this something economics of home so like it was a bunch of like really academic words
Right. Right. Right.
and she wrote it for her sister who's a housewife, and her sister is like, I didn't read it, and she goes, but I wrote it for you because it's all about, oh, should women get paid for their housework, and she's like, well, I
Right.
had no way of knowing that that's what the article was about.
It was just
And
too dense.
well, and so then her sister comes up with a new headline of like, kids get paid for chores, shouldn't moms?
Gotcha. And like makes it accessible to
Yeah,
normal viewers. Good
yeah,
for non-academic audiences.
yeah.
Good.
So, um, and there's a montage of dicks in the first episode. Uh,
Sometimes you need a dick montage.
it's kind of like HBO heard people complaining about how there's boobs all over HBO, but there's no
Yeah, and
dicks.
not enough dick. And they're like, well,
Yeah,
let's make a dick show.
yeah. So it's like a 5-minute montage of them auditioning who's going to be the centerfold in the magazine. You get to see a lot of dicks in quick succession.
All right.
Um, and then
That is your thing? You
yeah,
that is where you find it.
yeah. And then she's a beautiful himbo is her centerfold for the first issue.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Love it.
And she tries to like he's gonna get interviewed since he's the first centerfold, and so she's trying to teach him about feminism things so he knows like the talking points. And he can't say patriarchy. He keeps saying patriarchy.
Good.
Um, so yeah, it's very fun.
Patriarchy.
Yeah. What fun things have you been doing?
I've not watched a lot of shows this week, but I did attend a panel, like an online conference panel on like writing sci-fi for TV, and that was
Mm-hmm.
really interesting. The
Oh yeah.
first half of the episode was really just sort of like the basics of writing sci-fi, and so that
Mm-hmm.
was interesting, but not necessarily super relevant to like being a TV writer.
Mm-hmm.
But the second half of it was where he got into the real meat of like, okay, so this is what TV execs look for, and this is what specifically people who are looking for sci-fi shows are looking for, and like these are network trends right
Mm-hmm.
now, and it was just really, really interesting stuff to keep in mind um, when you're because it was like called like pitching a
Mm-hmm.
sci-fi show to networks,
Oh yeah.
and that was really cool. Yeah, so they're saying
Any
like,
any factoids that you want to share? Or
yeah. Interestingly, in the past, the anthology style of a sci-fi show was seen as like an absolute death knell for a pitch. Like, if you wanted to Black Mirror it, you could not have pitched it to a TV exec because they would have laughed you out of the room.
but now
And so
those are coming back. So.
now they're coming back. There's still a hard sell, he said, because they have a different setting every episode.
Mhm.
They tend to be higher budget because obviously you can't just use the same sets all the time,
Seems
like
like
you
you
can.
could do like an anthology show that's like American Horror Story might sounds like it might do
Yeah.
better
Yeah,
if it's
anything
like
that's
each
near
season.
our time so that you can use cheaper sets, like you can just like
Mhm.
film it wherever. He said those are actually flying pretty well right now because people are chasing after the new Black Mirror because it was so popular.
Mhm.
And then they were like, it's too dark in the real world. We can't keep making this show.
Um, but like with American Horror Story, like they're an anthology, but they're like each season is a self-contained
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
so that has more legs.
yeah.
Because it's going to be a lot less of an investment for the network to get into. And then he was saying that the big trend right now is because Star Trek and Orville and The Expanse and stuff like that have kind of cornered the far future and slightly not utopian, but that kind of sci-fi, the
Mhm.
Star Trek sci-fi basically
The space
market.
exploration sci-fi.
Yeah, yeah, that studios are looking for sci-fi shows that are either near to the time that we're in right now or so not space exploration
Hmm.
that they won't be competing with Star Trek, which has got the firm hold on that demographic.
So I wonder how like space opera would do.
Yeah, those are probably usually higher budget, especially if you're going pretty fantastical with it. But they don't necessarily have to be, and you'd have to sort of take that into account in your writing. Like I think if you were doing something like Dune, but for a TV budget, where you were focused more on like Game of Thrones style politics in a
Yeah.
great house, and you could have less expensive sets, that would probably sell.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I have to now take a bunch of that information and chat about it with my fellow writers on the show that we're trying to write for, and then I'd be like, okay, so how does that affect our plans for our series? Which is gonna be neat. It's gonna be a fun conversation. So yeah, I that was my yesterday morning, and I'm still kind of pumped from it.
Cool. Um, Part of me thinks about stuff like so there was the Sharahar, I don't even know how to fucking say it, Chronicles. It's about like elf people.
Mm.
And like MTV adapted it. And
Huh.
a twist in the book series that it's based off of is that this fantasy world is secretly the future. Um,
Okay.
and that I
I've read
feel
books like
like,
that before.
yeah, and so I feel like the show adapting it
Yeah.
didn't try to hide that it was our future, and that was
Right.
probably a smart decision on that part because a
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of like the hint, it's one of those things where it's like when you go back and read it, it like, oh, the witch is clapping her hands to make light happen in her house because she has a clap on lamp. Like,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
it's stuff like that, and it's just the character's POV doesn't know what a lamp is and a light bulb are, so that's why they're like claiming it's magic.
Gotcha.
Um, so like, since we're not in his limited POV, it is smart that they just didn't try to hide it and are like, okay, here's a car covered in moss and whatnot.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's not you don't break the social contract with the audience then of being like, you're watching a high fantasy series that takes place in the past. Oops, it's not.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
so I thought that was a good idea, but the problem with the show is it just was not well written, and
Oh, that sucks.
because it was on MTV, so it's think
Right,
about
right.
all the bad things about an MTV show,
Yep.
and that
Yep.
that's uh, I like live tweeted the first couple of episodes and called it elf nonsense because that was kind of like just
Good.
um it was like, oh, they're doing a contest for who's gonna be the new like city guard, and this girl is the only girl trying out,
I
and
wonder if it's gonna be her. And everyone says she can't do it
yeah,
because she's a
exactly,
girl.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and then it turns out she's the secret princess.
Of course. Gotta be the secret princess.
Anyway, so it's kind of like I was like, I feel like this sort of idea has potential
Hmm.
for a cool TV series because since it is our world just wrecked, the
Yeah.
sets wouldn't be that expensive.
No, exactly.
Um, uh, and
The guy running this one had just produced a series that was really interesting, and I kind of want to watch now. I can't remember what it was called. It was like Emergence? No, that was the movie. I can't remember. But the concept of it was there is a hostage negotiator who has retired from hostage negotiation because it's too stressful for her.
mhm,
Um, and VR is a thing, and there's all these like VR worlds that you can fully immerse yourself in. But people are getting stuck in them because if their life sucks in the real world, they'll just like
they
live
don't
in
want
the
to leave
perfect world.
they don't want to leave the
Yeah,
VR.
exactly. So her thing is that she has to log into the system and like try to talk them out of whatever world they've gotten themselves stuck into. Um, but the more she uses it, the more like detached from her own life she starts getting, and that's kind of the crux of the first season. That
Huh.
sounds really cool, and I do want to watch that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I was really liking about that is he was like, yeah, so it's like a sci-fi in the sense that there's all this like very sort of cyberpunk technology going on with VR worlds and stuff. But like inside the VR world, it can be whatever you want. So a lot
Hmm.
of the time, it's just like shot in our normal world or outside. Good
Yeah,
for the
that's
budget.
interesting. Um, uh, I always think like stuff like I don't know about you, but part of me likes to really watch bad TV shows because it's like, how could have this been good? Like if
Ooh.
um,
Oh, see,
I
that I
was
should watch some bad TV shows then. I have very little patience for bad writing.
oh
So I will often hit a point where I'm like, this is dumb, I'm turning it off.
I see the thing is like because I watch TV while drawing,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like I'm half paying attention, and still getting shit done. Um, so I have a real like high tolerance for bad TV.
Nice.
Which I learned from, which is why I'm always watching TV and always have a new bullshit thing to talk about
Yeah, yeah.
whenever we're streaming.
See, I used to do that. That's part of why I got Netflix. Except whatever upgrade they did, made it so that it's incompatible with my tablet driver. So if
Oh,
I'm watching Netflix, my tablet will just stop working.
see, this is where having only one room in your apartment benefits me
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because um, uh, if I'm working, I can just turn on my TV and
Smart.
uh,
Whereas
but
I'm
yeah,
like in a
so
completely different room.
like it's stuff like Vampire Diaries is not a good show by any
No.
stretch of the imagination. I don't know if you've ever seen Vampire Diaries, but the best way to describe it is it's a soap opera on fast forward.
Oh, good.
Um, because it's one of those things where like everything is happening so quickly, you don't have time to think about how stupid these plot twists are.
Good.
Um, so it's like first season is new boy shows up at school. New boy turns out to be a vampire. New boy has an evil brother who's also a vampire. Then it turns out both brothers were turned by a vampire lady who is the secret magical twin of the main character, and that's
Ooh,
why
exciting.
that's why they that's why main vampire the good vampire boy zeroed in on the main character is he
Right,
thought
right.
it was the lady that made them into vampires, pulling an
Interesting. And he's like all
elaborate
obsessed.
ruse.
Yeah.
Well, it was less that. It was more like he thought she was dead and she's a shitty person, so he wanted
Mm,
to make sure she wasn't hurting other people, like if she
gotcha.
was evil twin. Um, and so, but evil brother is still obsessed with her, and it turns out has an elaborate spell to bring her back to life because it turns out
Good.
and then he does the spell, and then it doesn't work because it turns out she's secretly alive, and then it turns out that the main character was adopted, and that her dead parents are secretly her uncle and aunt, and that the uncle that she hates is her secret dad, and then she has a secret mom who is also turned into a vampire and
Oh,
is
good.
married to her and is the dead wife of the history teacher that just moved to town and is a secret
Oh,
vampire
good.
hunter, and all of this happens in the span of 10 episodes.
Oh, that's amazing.
um
That's a lot, and I love it.
so and yeah, and so then like, and that is the pace that it keeps at until like season 4. um
Dang.
there's a lot of like, here's this evil vampire, they're gonna be the new big bad. Oh wait, never mind, they just died by the person who's gonna be the actual new big bad. um and anyway, we gotta keep going.
Good.
So then
Ah, man.
yeah, so it's kind of like learning about like when a breakneck speed can be to a show's benefit. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Where it's like, it's not so
um
stupid. Don't think about it too hard. Just have fun. We're here.
yeah,
We're here to party with dumb vampires.
yeah, we're here for dumb vampire nonsense. And then they did a cool thing
Ah,
with the vampires that I was like, "Oh, that's actually like slightly clever." Because the evil vampire brother, the way that he gets um, his dinner several times is he
mhm.
just lies in the middle of the road. Um,
And then
and
people are
so
like, "Oh no, I better help this guy who's been hit by a
yeah, and
car."
then he eats them. Like, and it's a like a back
Good.
alley road, so like it doesn't get a lot of cars. So yeah, like so he eats multiple people that way because it's like, oh
Oh, that's
no,
good.
we should like check on this guy and see if he's okay. Um,
Oops, he ate me.
yeah. Um, and then there was another thing that like, so as the show goes on, um, Vampire Diaries does a thing where they don't want to repeat the Buffy thing where vampires are automatically evil, but they also need
Yes.
an excuse for why so many of the vampires are like psychotic murderers.
Right.
And basically, the excuse they come up with is uh, everything about a vampire is heightened and cranked up to 11.
Mm,
So when they're angry, they're the most angry. And
gotcha.
when they're obsessive and in love, they're the most obsessive and in love. So basically, they're just,
They're like the
emo-
Fae, but they drink blood.
yeah, they're emotionally unstable, basically.
Oh, that's
And
great.
and
I love
it
these
also
trash vampires so much.
It also, but they also make it to like to justify why not all vampires are evil. Is it just it's heightening your personality
Right.
traits.
So if you're a little bit
So
of an asshole, you're gonna be the worst asshole
yeah,
ever. And if you're a
and
little
then
bit
you
evil, you're gonna be the most evil.
yeah, so then you get like a um, minor character they run into. Um, is he's turned into a vampire and he really likes reading and he likes learning shit. So
Nice.
really all he's done is he's faked his identity and gone to college over and over again because he just likes learning stuff. Um,
He's like, so I'm not gonna be just a bit of a nerd. I'm going to be all the
yeah, he's
biggest
like,
nerd. It's gonna be great
I want to learn all the things.
for all eternity. I mean
Uh,
goals. That sounds
yeah,
great.
yeah. So because they've done that, they also made it that vampires can like turn off all their emotions. So the reason why so many of them are murderous killers is because like they get
They just
something
turn off.
happens that's traumatic and they can't
Mm,
deal because they have all the emotions. All their emotions are
right.
cranked up to
Ugh,
11.
they're such drama
Uh,
queens. These vampires.
and then they decide like their life will be better if they just turn off emotions.
Right, and then they
And then they
murder.
don't have any emotions, so they don't care if they kill people. Um, and because of this, every single member of the cast by season 5 is a mass murderer.
Oh, good, good.
So the good brother and the evil brother,
They just all murdered.
very like shrug distinction, like the evil brother is snarkier, and that's the main difference.
Gotcha. This one, they all murder. This one's just a dick about it.
Yeah, and so then the human characters all get turned into vampires, and then they
Of
quickly all
course.
become mass murderers.
Yeah, good. Good.
And this all snowballs to a thing where I was like, they almost had a really good idea, and they were just too much of a coward to pull the trigger on it. And because they have one character who's human through the whole show, and then in the last season, he's like, I know a lot of my friends are vampires, but I think vampires are not good. Um, and um, and he starts to be like a vampire hunter, and the main characters are like, "Hey, like that's kind of like shitty and specious of you." And then he's like, "All right, well, vampires constantly hurt people. Prove me wrong." And
Yep.
um, and the vampires can also like mind control people.
Oh, good.
Um, so you get stuff like something happens and everyone who's ever been like glamored slash mind controlled by this one vampire, they start to get their memories back. And
Oh.
one of the quote unquote good vampires has to like go through all these people and like re-brainwash them. Um, and so the human
Good.
character is like having helping her do all this, and they get to a guy who was guarding um, a, a hospital victim, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they glamored him so they could get him, make him leave his post, and then so they could then brainwash the person or kill the person. I forget which one it was. And then that guy got fired because he left his post for no reason. Um,
Right.
and and so then because he lost his job, he lost his house, and so he's like, yeah,
Vampire's just fucking everything up.
yeah, and that's basically Human Guy's standpoint, and it's like, yeah, you guys have just, even when you're not being murderers, you're awful.
Fucked
Like
up my life real bad.
you're fucking up everything, um, because you don't even think about what you're
All these
doing.
goddamn vampires.
Yeah, and I was like, so they're like this
I love
close
that.
to like having him call them on their shit and him being the antagonist for the last season, and then at the last minute they're like, "Oh, we can't do that.
Oh, come
The
on.
villain for the last season instead is the devil."
Oh, no. I love
Yeah,
the villain is the sensible friend who's like, y'all need to stop.
you all need some empathy, and you all need to like realize how much you're ruining everyone's lives. Um,
Very good.
um, but yeah, they don't want to have that conversation, I guess.
Well, that's
Um,
too bad, because that's fun.
Yeah, and I was kind of like, that would be a really interesting plot in a
Hmm.
better written show.
Yes.
Um, and I only like that only occurred to me because I stuck through this horrible show. So it's like that's where it's like that's the joy of watching these bad TV shows. Is
Good.
occasionally there are nuggets of like this was
Oh,
almost
man.
interesting.
See, maybe I'm wrong, because that does sound really interesting to me. And also, I remember love hating True Blood because it was so dumb. Some of the plots were so dumb, but that's what delighted me about them. Like, I think we've talked about this before, but the whole meth
The meth,
werepanthers.
the inbred meth head
The,
were
oh,
panthers.
God, I love that. That was like candy. I was just like, this is so dumb. I love it.
Have you ever read the books?
No.
Books are a delightful mess. Um, I basically I got the audiobooks for them because I found them on sale, so it was like the first seven in the
Yeah.
series for $1,
Oh man,
and
I'm
I
gonna
was
have to
like,
go hard on audiobooks soon because I need to draw a series.
and like they're all from Sookie's point of view,
Mm.
so
Even
you
though
get
she's the most boring character in the entire thing.
um, well, she's less boring in the books.
Oh, good.
The thing is that Bill and Eric are worse. and what
Good.
I don't the author of the series actually got yelled at because Sookie doesn't
Mm-hmm.
end up with Bill or Eric. And that's a romance with a capital R. No, no, is you have to like
Mm-hmm.
have her
End
stick
up
with
with one of the
like one of the main love interests of the whole series.
yeah, which the character which the readers have grown to love
Yeah.
somehow, and then they now need their wish fulfillment.
So it's like Bill is way more of like a detached and kind of a shithead.
I mean,
And
more than he was in the show is saying something.
yeah, and he also sexually assaults her.
Oh, great, cool.
Which is maybe why the author was like, she should not end up with Bill.
Oh, did you? It wasn't you who posted it, I don't think, but I saw something on Twitter this week that I really was fascinating to me. It was a examination of fanfic, and specifically the like tropey both werewolf and vampire fiction we've talked about in past weeks.
hmm
The female main character who's almost useless and is just a delicate waif,
hmm
um, who everyone hates for some reason, um, but then has the big strong vampire or werewolf protector, who's drawn to her for some reason, is
hmm
like the expression of that particular kind of white womanhood, where it's like, well, you can't be powerful because you're just a woman, but you can control powerful men, and that's how you become more
I
powerful than
remember,
men.
I remember hearing it with vampires specifically that the people who write the best-selling vampire fiction are white women because the mundane equivalent to a vampire is a wealthy white man.
Yes.
So
Well, and
he
often
is not
why, yeah,
dangerous. He is hashtag partner goals.
exactly. And like, and why just having a vampire boyfriend isn't good enough. He also has to be like the richest man.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Um,
I hate everything about this, but I can so see why it's a thing.
yeah,
Oh,
I had read that before, particularly with just vampires, but
oh, it made a lot of fic I've seen make sense to me, and I was like, oh, I hate it. I hate it a
thanks, I
lot.
hate it. I've talked to my friend Olive Stevens about so many, like after I found that out,
Oh,
and then talked about it with Olive,
where's my light source
so
coming from?
many vampire fiction things
Yep,
have a vampire who fought for the Confederacy or owned
yep,
slaves.
yeah,
Um,
yes,
because like Bill had slaves and fought
yep,
for the Confederacy.
yep.
Um, what's wild is Vampire Diaries has the like has one of the brother main love interests in that situation,
Oh,
but
yeah?
like in the original books, that's not how it was.
Oh,
Because
interesting.
in the original books, they're from like the Italian Renaissance.
Mm.
Um,
So he would have had no reason to fight for the Confederacy. They
yeah,
just gonna
like
stick some American white supremacy in there for no reason.
yeah, it's Vampire Diaries the show and its handling of race is a big old mess.
I'm
Um,
sure.
and is really like into like the aesthetics of southernness, but doesn't want to like talk about where some of these aesthetics come from and why they exist. Um, but yeah,
I wonder why.
so it's like the one of the brothers in Vampire Diaries the show, that's the case. But like I said, Bill and True Blood had slaves.
Yes. And they
Louis in Interview with a Vampire owned slaves.
yes.
One of the Cullens fought for the Confederacy.
Oh,
Um,
really? In
I
the
forget which one. He's not. He's
Twilights?
yeah. He's not. I I think his name is Jasper. I have I didn't get that far in the Twilight
I haven't
books. Yeah.
Twilighted. I have not.
Yeah. So
The closest I've come, my only experience with Twilight is that a friend of mine drunk reviewed it, like read it and then did a podcast about it, drunk. And it was very
I
funny.
I read I listened to a joke audiobook of Twilight.
Gopher Source says it's Jasper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Jasper. But anyway,
Yeah.
so one of the Cullens has fought for the Confederacy.
Gotcha.
And it's just like it just keeps coming up. And it's like you
Vampires and white guilt over
oddly enough,
slavery.
oddly enough, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where vampire automatically means evil,
Yeah.
is the only place where a main character did not own like one of the main character vampires did not own slaves.
Interesting.
Because Spike is from England and Angel's from
Yeah.
Ireland.
Right.
So they were not part of the transatlantic slave trade.
Nope.
Like the closest you get is Darla is from the colonial South, but she was also a prostitute. So
Right. So she was like, I was not a wealthy landowner with slaves.
yeah, and as both a prostitute and a woman, she was not fighting for the Confederacy.
Yeah. No.
Um, so yeah, it's just like it's odd how much it comes up.
It's weirdly telling how much it comes up.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's but yeah, I did know that about the white women write the vampire thing.
Yeah. I was just a really interesting article because I was like, oh yeah, no, that's totally, yep, I can see that.
I read an article that was talking about that around the time that 50 Shades of Grey came out. Because like Christian Grey is if a vampire was in a mundane setting, like the power dynamic of
Oh,
a
is it
billionaire and a
that's like where
college
it came
student.
from, right? Like it
Yeah,
was
it was
Twilight
a
fan
Twilight
fiction.
fanfic, and the way you
Yeah.
recreate the power dynamic between a vampire and a
It's
human
just a
high
rich dude.
schooler is if
Yeah.
he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
So,
But it's so hot if a guy does everything for you and he could kill you, but he won't because he loves you so deeply.
yeah. So
Very
like
weird. Very weird mentality, y'all.
so True Blood, like first of all, like the books make it textual that like um so Suki's part fairy in the show,
Yeah.
and they acknowledge
Yeah.
that in the show. What the books acknowledge that Jason is also part fairy. The show does not go like acknowledge that or talk about it, but like apparently that's the reason why Jason can sleep with any woman.
Right.
He is unaware of the fact that he has
Very
powers.
magnetism.
He is unaware of the fact that he has like super orgasm powers.
They just kind of made him sleep with a lot of people in the show.
Yeah. But them being part fairy makes Suki delicious, and that's why all the vampires are actually attracted to her. And
Right.
I
Not
feel
for her stellar personality.
once that's acknowledged in the books, I think the author is correct, and well, then she cannot end up with any vampire because
it wouldn't be a fair relationship.
It's also like it would also be like, do they actually love her or they just want that fairy goodness?
That fairy juice.
Yeah.
Yep.
She ends up with the guy who can turn into a dog, her boss at the bar.
Yeah. She ends up with him in the show too, and everyone was super mad about it because they're like, he's so boring. He's not dangerous. He's like the sweetest, nicest guy too.
He's a little. I thought he was a little bit. I thought he was a little bit skeezy in the first season, like because he is so like, hey Suki, you don't have anything to worry about me. Like, go ahead and read my thoughts, and it's like it's you're being pushy, dude.
Yeah.
And he's not that pushy in the book. He's just kind of there.
Right. Being a good dog boy.
Yeah. He's also a bit of a manslet in the book. So like there's a part where Suki like interrupts an orgy and he's there, and
He's just like, yo, hey, how's
she's
it going?
like, "Hey, this orgy is for like dark magic purposes," and he's like, "Oh, I did not know that when I signed up."
They did not list that on the form.
Yeah, they did not list that on the orgy flyer.
I'm just here because, you
Yeah,
know, free orgy.
yeah, I'm just here because that, yeah.
Because I'm a dog boy and I do like the sex.
Mhm. But yeah, anyway, I brought up the books of True Blood because when she first has sex with Eric, it's described as it felt like her hoo-ha was struck by lightning, and that is the funniest shit I've ever read.
Oh no! That's a very... That's a description.
Yes. I can tell you about some of the other things in the book, but that is the thing I remember most is
Oh, that's good.
her hoo-ha was struck by lightning.
The only thing I remember about my friend who did the drunk read of Twilight also did a drunk read of 50 Shades of Grey, and the only thing I remember from that podcast is she she did a thing where she was like, I'm gonna just take a drink anytime she says that his sweats hang from his hips in that way, and then doesn't ever describe what that way is, because you're just supposed to know, or like
You know
fill
what
in
it
your
is?
own
Uh,
proclivities.
Okay, I was talking to Kevin,
Yeah.
designer of both of our websites at the
Yep.
moment. He was talking about how he was discussing with a friend. You can tell how horny anime about dudes is going to be
Mm-hmm.
based on if they show you there's this line like or on their thigh where it's like the hip bone kind of sticks out a little bit and like
Oh,
um so it's right
the crest of
it's
the ilium.
it's right where like the underpants line would be, and so you can see
Right.
like a little bit of it as it creases down into their pants.
Right.
um if that is happening in
It's gonna be
ads
real
for the
horny.
anime, you know it's gonna be horny as shit. um
That's the
because
horny
it's
line.
yeah because like you can tell how horny an anime is going to be based on like the general amount of detail, so it's
Right.
like the levels of horny are like their uh how detailed are their collarbones are like
Yeah, I
that's
was gonna
step
say there's gotta
one
be
of
some good clavicle in there.
well so
Like,
that's like the first step.
that's like
And
baby
then like
steps.
and then when you need like to be extra horny, you do that V shape. Yes,
Ooh.
Violet, the V shape around their crotch. Yeah, so it's like a little bit of horny, and we're defining their collarbone. Um,
Right.
a
Right.
lot of horny, and we're defining that line along their hip and thigh. Um,
Is there ever like, is like crop tops in anime a thing? Like, do you see abs?
Well,
Is
see,
that
the thing
right?
is you can see
Or is that just
abs in an
normal?
action show like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. They all have abs, but they
Yes.
don't have that V line.
Right. So it's not
So
horny.
like, yeah. So sometimes abs and
Wrong.
biceps and stuff
It's not horny.
are just like we want to show how beefy this character is. But
Right.
if they're showing the collarbones in that V line, that means she's gonna be horny. It's gonna get super horny up in here.
Be prepared.
Yeah. Like
I will have to keep an eye out for that, I guess.
yeah, like that V line is
It's
like
not a
if
thing I'd
you
noted before, but I could definitely see it being a
yeah,
thing.
that V line on a guy is like if you look at an anime and you can see the lady's nipples through her shirt.
Yep,
Like
that's gonna be too
yeah,
horny.
yeah. That's the level of horniness you're gonna get.
So spicy.
Uh,
I love the depiction of food in Food Wars, but that show is way too horny. That show needs to simmer the fuck down.
See, now I'm gonna look it up to see if the V line is there.
Do it. Probably is.
Food
It's a real horny
Wars
show. But it's got the most
anime.
beautiful food.
Pulling it up on my screen so viewers of my okay, we got the detailed collarbones.
Okay, okay.
So
What other hip bones? Is it hip bone
yeah,
horny?
I'm trying to find. There aren't that many shots of
Of
him
the
from the waist down.
Yeah, there's also
Um,
try like food reveal or food orgasm if that won't mess up your search. Because it's always when they eat something really delicious, all of their clothing explodes off.
well, I just
And
found a
it sucks
character
because
sheet
like,
of him in an apron.
does he have hip lines?
Oh no, the apron is covering any hip lines that would be visible.
Ah. It's very unfortunate because the best
Oh, I found
shots of the
the.
food are where they do the food reveal, but that's also where it gets too horny. And I'm like, this is just uncomfortable to watch. I just want to see the food, y'all. Show me some pretty food.
Okay, a girl has the hip line, so this
Oh,
is a very horny show.
okay. Gotcha.
Um, but like
Restaurant to
if
Another World, I haven't heard of that one.
I'm gonna pull up images of Free, the swim anime.
Yeah,
Nope,
that's got
that's
the hip bones.
yes.
Got hella hip bone.
Okay, I'm gonna send you this image
See,
so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
see how horny this is.
Oh, I didn't want to click on that. Okay, here's the link for your viewing pleasure, and you can see all the hip bone.
Oh dang, there's a lot going on there.
Um,
There is like visible package through the swimsuits as
yeah,
well. So it's very horny.
yes.
They draw the boobs real weird though.
On
Like
Free, yeah.
these guys don't have pecs. They kind of have like weird V's on top of their chest.
Mm-hmm.
That's very odd. That's a weird choice.
It clearly worked for them because the entire anime is the point is boy fan service.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
Naked
like,
boys.
look at these naked boys in the pool. Y'all too horny. Simmer down.
Yep. This is the new Yowie hands. That hip bone V. Um. Anyway, bad TV. I think I mentioned to you last week the old sitcom For Your Love where it revealed that like the married couple is dysfunctional because all sitcom married couples are written
Yes.
dysfunctional, so they should
Yeah.
just get divorced. Like,
Yeah.
that show made it to 2 seasons, but like, no one remembers it for a reason. It was firmly in mediocre status, and that one thing they did is kind of like
It was just interesting.
the unique idea they had, or
Yeah.
the unique observation they had. Um, bad TV is full of dumb shit like this.
hmm I had a realization where I've been reading through a bunch of different cyberpunk. Uh,
Hmm.
and I was like, I have never, ever read a cyberpunk novel by a woman or a person of color. All of the ones I have read are just white dude central.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went looking for those, and I found a couple really good ones. There's
Yeah.
an anthology called Cyberfunk, and it is a all black author cyberpunk anthology,
Oh, cool.
and it's very cool. I'm only about maybe halfway through it now, but I've been enjoying all of the stories so far. And then I found this really good one that's a novel by Michelle Smith, I think is her name, and it's called Trouble and Her Friends, and it's really good. I'm enjoying that one a lot.
Cool.
It's very, very queer, and it's like a queer
Good.
collective of hackers
Good.
who have just been outlawed by the government and are like trying to make their way in the world after the new laws have changed to specifically come after them. And they're uh, super supportive of each other because they are all queer and they're like, we need to stick together. We're used to government oppression. I'm
Um,
very much enjoying it. Highly recommend.
trying to think of um trying to think of other like good things from dumb media.
Mm.
A friend of mine was editing a book that she told me was like the worst book that she was ever hired to work on. But the thing that frustrated her is there was one idea in it that was really, really cool, which was there was an invented AI um, who um, became self aware.
Yep.
And because they were now self aware, they had a self preservation instinct.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
and the humans, not knowing this, use the AI to try to help them design a more advanced AI.
Oh,
And the robot is sabotaging their efforts, so they're
good, because
never
it doesn't want to be
obsolete.
replaced.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
never,
I
so they
like
don't
that.
become obsolete. Yeah.
I like
So
that.
I was like, that's too bad that that's a garbage book that you're working on.
Yeah.
But that is a cool idea. Um,
I'm super happy with RAI. I think I've talked about it a little bit before, but like, so RAI self-assemble
mhm,
in the series that I'm working on a pitch for. Uh, but they assemble in a way that like, and this is true to how AI actually work today. It's like you set them up to learn a thing, and then you just let them go, and you don't know how they assemble their own code or
mhm,
what any of the code at the end means. You're just like, okay, you do this thing consistently.
mhm,
I guess that was a success. But because we don't have any control over it, so when people sell AIs in this far future, they're like, right, so we know that this one will fly ships and not like fly you into the sun or dump all of the humans out. So it's super consistent, but you need to reset it every 2 weeks because it will evolve away from that.
mhm.
So do a full system reset every 2 weeks, reinstall it. Like you got to do that for your own safety, humans flying around in space. This AI had a sloppy owner,
Mhm. Who
and
did not do that?
they did not do that, and they did not do that for long enough that the AI has now, now that it has new owners, is like, yes, I have definitely been reset. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yep. I'm gonna fake my logs so it looks like I've been reset every single 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I haven't been, and I'm very much self-aware now,
Yes.
and that is a problem. Uh, because the ship is a coward. It's like, so I was a smuggler ship, and I run away from problems. I do not confront them head on.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we are a organization that has to go and help. We need to go towards the problems. And it's like, oh no, oh hell no, that's not how I do things. But I also don't want you to know I'm alive, so I'm just gonna like passively resist.
How's playing Cyberpunk going?
Good. Very good. I've basically 100%ed the game.
Good.
And I'm considering another playthrough as a corpo, as a stupid corporate wage slave. I think I will also play as a guy so I can get those romance options. It'll also make the experience different because like I tried listening to a playthrough with a male voice actor and I'm like, oh god, I hate this. It's not my character. It's so weird. But I think if I start a fresh playthrough with that voice, this is a completely different person
It
and
will
I'm
be
playing a fresh
easier,
game
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just like 100%ed it this past week. And I'm
Cool.
gonna probably start a new playthrough this weekend. Because
Cool.
I only play Cyberpunk on the weekends.
I probably gonna do a new start for RimWorld.
Cool.
Because so the person who makes all the mods that I like is about to update. So last July they got a new DLC where you can form your own religion. And
Oh,
because
neat.
of that, a bunch of the big mods broke.
Yeah, yeah.
And so one is you can make like weird mutant hybrid animals.
Right?
And they announced that they're super close to like final, like they did a massive overhaul on the code so it runs better. Um,
Mm.
and so they're about to like release the version of that mod so it works with the uh, religion stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
And
All of the ideology.
yeah, and so I'm like, I want to make a bunch of like super scientist space lesbians
Good.
who are gonna make a zoo of weird hybrid animals,
Oh, good.
as well as like prisoners that they've turned into furries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Gotta turn prisoners into furries.
Yeah,
That's just a given.
because we're gonna turn them into cow people and then chop off their legs so they can't run away,
And then
and then
milk
they will
them.
just sit in bed and get milked. Um, uh,
They didn't want that. They shouldn't have come here.
yeah, they shouldn't have attacked us. Um,
Like, if you
and,
didn't want your organs harvested, you shouldn't have attacked
yeah,
this colony.
yes, exactly.
I.e., the RimWorld experience.
Mm-hmm. And I think also I'm gonna try to make like a maze for people that attack us to come into.
Oh, yeah, I did that a bunch
Um,
of times. It's real fun.
well, and then the maze is gonna be full of mutagen gas.
Oh, good.
So like
So
they
they'll
won't
just
even.
get
So they'll
turned into
slowly.
furries on their way in.
Yeah. And then usually when someone's getting turned into a furry, they collapse
Yeah.
after a certain point. So
Because
then
their
we can
legs are the
just.
wrong shape now.
Yes, so we can just then go get them. And Dry Otter is saying in the chat, tale as old as time, turning prisoners into furries.
Yep.
Um,
There's no Geneva Conventions on the RimWorld. We
yeah.
work by
I
the laws
also
of
have
the
a
internet.
mod. I have a mod where you can put living things into like a tube, and it will
Ooh.
generate power.
Oh, neat.
So that's how we can display our zoo. Is
Nice.
just put
Just
all the
tube of
different,
furry.
yeah, put all the different creatures in the
Good.
tubes. Uh,
Good.
um, give tours.
I tried to play RimWorld again last week, but my Cyberpunk addiction is too strong.
Yeah.
I played it
I
for
also
like a half hour, and then I was like, yeah,
I
but I still
found a
like Cyberpunk.
mod that's an open world mod, so we could, in
Ooh.
theory, like both have our own colony on the same planet.
Oh.
Uh, or there's also like genuine two-player
Yeah,
RimWorld
yeah, yeah.
as a mod.
Huh. That's my. Hello?
Hi.
I'm not hearing
What?
anything. Oh, okay. I got a weird crackle and then I didn't
Huh.
hear
I didn't hear a crackle on my end, so.
it.
Oh,
My
there's the crackle. Um, it might be your headset acting up again.
I must be having a weird interference situation.
If you're talking, the Discord is not being green, so I
Okay. No,
cannot.
I'm
Oh,
just
there we go.
looking at my drawing.
Yeah. Before I jumped on here, I was watching H Bomber Guy play chess.
Nice.
He's getting donations for the Ukraine.
Cool.
And apparently, I didn't close the window. I just like muted it. And apparently, if you do that while someone's live streaming, um, and then go back to the window, it suddenly tries to send you all of the message that have happened in in the past, like since you clicked away.
Right.
So
That's a
the
lot.
YouTube was just like.
It's like, that's too much. We did Trash Heroes this weekend, which was fun.
Mhm.
But there was also a local gaming convention on that I had to miss out on because I was too busy streaming. But they did a panel on great game systems that are not D&D. I was like, oh, I would have loved to be part of that panel. Like, a million recommendations.
I'm still getting a weird feedback. Like I'm making out what you're saying. It was just like,
It's very staticky.
yeah,
I don't know what's up with my headset.
headsets be weird.
Actually, maybe I can switch my audio midstream. What if I tried this?
I can hear you now. There's no static.
How about now?
No static.
None whatsoever. Okay, I am on my other mic. I think that
This
should be
is
clearer.
this is an interesting journey.
Yeah. As I like live tech support my mics. I was playing RimWorld with that mutagen mod. I kept
Yeah.
getting survivors coming to my camp who would like already been transformed into animals, so they'd be like, "This is a boom rat. It used to be Sarah from this
Yeah.
faction,"
Yes.
and then
Um,
I would,
there was static again. I just
oh,
heard, and then there was, and then
weird. Shouldn't be coming through my headset anymore.
I don't know.
What is going on? I don't know.
Well, we'll just keep talking, and maybe it will
Yeah,
fix itself.
hopefully.
Um, oh, also, I watched the new West Side Story this week.
Mm.
Um,
How
it's
was
it.
that?
What are your feelings on the original West Side Story?
It's fun. It's a musical.
Okay, so
I'm solidly neutral.
the original West Side Story puts most of the focus on the romance between um, Maria and Tony.
Yeah.
Um, and so Steven Spielberg readapting it, he tries to like make it more about like the big picture, like
Oh, huh.
um
Like all the social issues that are going on.
yeah, so like the reason the gangs are having their turf war is because um a bunch of them were getting evicted to make way for the Lincoln Center to be built in New York. Um,
Interesting.
they made the cops more racist and also like trying to rile up racism in the white gang,
Right.
um, and kind of pit them against each other. Like,
Right.
um, and it so because it kind of does big picture, it like adds to the tragedy of the whole situation, but it makes the romance not as believable, in my opinion.
Mm.
Because, like, in the original movie, you get stuff like when Tony and Maria see each other at the dance, all the other characters, like, disappear.
Yeah.
Um, and in this, they, like, see each other and have their little quiet moment together behind the bleachers. Um, so they're still alone, but it's not as like visual metaphor for how they can only see each other.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like I like parts of it better,
Mm.
um, but parts of it are not working as well. Mainly the romance isn't working as well.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's just
Fascinating.
interesting to compare the two. And I cannot for the life of me find this thing I'm looking for.
Mm.
Could have sworn that I made a snowy division badge to copy paste places.
Yeah, that's smart because I'm sure you have to draw it all the time.
I don't. Usually it's tiny enough that I can get away with just a
Real.
hexagon.
Yeah.
Um, but like on pieces of paper where I'm gonna have to put type on anyway.
Yep.
Um,
Well, I have to make a font for myself. Uh, my contract specifically stipulated it. It was like you cannot use any font that you do not have the copyright for, and we will not pay for a license. So if you want one, you have to pay for it out of your own dime. And I was like, well, I can't buy a commercial license out of my own dime because you're already paying me a minimal amount. So I can, however, make my own.
um, I'm getting a font made.
Nice. Yeah, I remember you saying it wasn't cheap. You said it was like,
It was like a grand.
yeah, which isn't bad when you consider you can use it for like all of the projects you do
Yeah.
and is a business expense. Nope, I did that wrong layer, didn't I? I sure did. I'm gonna have to redo that.
I also watched Encanto.
Oh, what do you think of it?
So I went in prepared to be frustrated with the ending because
Yeah.
I heard a lot
Yes.
of people that were like they they're like, okay, I guess we're a family now, and then like don't apologize to Bruno who was
No one ever
put in the
apologizes
law.
to Bruno.
And
Yeah.
no one apologizes to Bruno, yes, but
Yeah.
um Grandma does apologize for
Mhm.
being shitty to the family as a whole.
Mhm.
Um and
Which is a big
like
deal.
yeah, so I like the ending more than I thought I would. But
Yeah.
I it's kind of like the I think it suffers from the fact that its best two songs are really early in the movie.
Yeah.
Um, and then there's like the end really needs a banger.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's true of a lot of Lin Manuel Miranda stuff. Uh,
I saw the
Because
whole non-apology thing summed up by uh somebody who said something to the effect of like, white people who watch this movie, that's bullshit. The grandma didn't even really apologize. That sucks. Hispanic
yeah,
people who are like,
the,
holy shit, Abuela apologized for absolutely anything? This movie is about miracles.
yeah. So that was kind of like yeah, no one apologized to Bruno, but also Bruno wasn't in it that much. I thought he'd be in it way
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
Um,
For having like the
and
biggest song about him.
like and that song is a banger.
It's a banger. It's real good.
Um, I have this problem where frequently fandom and discourse lie to me, and then I
Mm.
get frustrated at them. Um,
Oh, the discourse. Oh, the discourse this week.
Part of the reason why I liked Into the Spider-Verse so much, it was one of the few movies where I feel like the things I saw people talking about were
Mm-hmm.
actually in the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Also, it was just a real damn good movie. Holy
I mean, it
crap.
is a damn good movie.
It's a damn
But
good movie.
like with Encanto, everyone talking about Bruno made me think like Bruno was gonna be in it way more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, the thing is that you don't talk about Bruno.
yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
well, like Surface Pressure is also the other banger.
Oh, I love that song. That is a good song.
Yeah.
I relate
Um,
very hard to that song.
and like so the thing is that the it's stuff like so people hype up Bruno so much and then like um he's barely in it, but and I guess the equivalent would have been if Into the Spider-Verse had fandom had like hyped up the uncle a lot. I forget his name. Because while he's in it, he's not in it as
Not
much
super in
as
it.
literally everyone else.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
um,
yeah. Kuragari says, I heard the same take with Turning Red. The mother apologizing, especially from immigrant kids, was a big deal. Yeah, totally.
yeah, no, like I went in prepared for like Abuela to not apologize for anything.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh no, she did. Like this is
that's
not
a big deal.
as um seems
Also, I was
like.
not prepared for Turning Red. I'd heard Turning Red was going to be about puberty. I did not expect it to be about intergenerational trauma. Ah, that
Uh,
was great. I
See,
love
this
that
is
they
the
just
thing
talked about
is,
that.
when I saw the trailer for Turning Red, I was like, okay, and like didn't give it a second thought.
Mm.
And now the discourse is making me be like, oh, maybe I should see Turning Red.
Okay,
Um,
okay. Uh, it is very clear to me, just in like the first couple shots, with what
mhm.
they do with the color palette, that everyone on board was a huge fan of Sailor Moon.
Yes, I have
Because
seen stuff like
it
that.
is so Sailor Moon. It's so beautiful. Uh, oh hey, Mitt Nerd, thanks for the raid. Uh, but yeah, so like it's so Canadian. There was a sign on the school that said it was almost Indigenous Peoples Day, which is amazing. I did not expect to see that mentioned in any Disney movie, and that was just that delight to me.
Well, it's technically a
Uh,
Pixar movie.
Pixar, yeah, but like it was very Canadian. It was
Mhm.
very femme centric. I was getting like flashbacks to being a young weird teen. It was very fun. I love that movie. I can't stop raving about it enough.
I think I found it finally.
It's real
Maybe.
good. It's real good.
Oh, there it is. There's the thing I was just spending the past like fucking 20 minutes looking for.
Jeez.
But yeah, so I might actually see Turning Red now that I know what it's
It's
actually
fun.
about.
It's very fun.
Um, but yeah, so and Kanto having its two bangers at the beginning
Hmm.
feels like a very Lin-Manuel Miranda thing, because kind of every musical that I've like uh come on, where'd it go? I just so basically all the musicals with Lin-Manuel Miranda that I've listened to that are his, they tend to be very heavy in the uh,
In the early songs.
yeah, because so um, like in the case of Hamilton, like it
Yeah.
makes sense why it's heavy on the early songs because they are um, all the second act songs are repeating motifs from the
Yeah.
first act songs to
As
comment
the
on them. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to put all the bangers in the first act, but that's
Because then you do
still,
them as reprises all throughout the
yeah,
rest.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it still makes the second act feel like, I don't know, like that one, it maybe needs a couple of its own things. And it does have
Right.
burn, so
It's true,
that's
which is really
good.
good.
But yeah,
It's also like the first act is the build up of Alexander Hamilton, and the second act is a lot of his fall.
yeah.
Which I know a lot of people are sort of like, oh man, all the really good upbeat, awesome songs are in the first one, and you're like, "Yeah, that's because in the second act shit's falling apart."
Yeah. So it's also like, but that's very similar to a lot of the things where he did the music. Like, I think Moana, it has that same issue where the bangers are at the beginning, and then the
Mm.
second half is like more reprise of the stuff at the beginning. So. Uh, I think it's partly like a style thing of his that I'm not super keen on. More because gotta spread out the bangers.
But those bangers, gotta have bangers throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Um,
I also love Moana, but I cannot watch it without just becoming a weepy mess. The grandma, it just hits me every time.
yeah. I
So
like the
close to my
grandma a
grandma.
lot. I like the actress who's the voice of the grandma.
Oh, she's great.
Rachel House is everything
Yeah.
I've seen her and she's been great.
Yes.
Um, then I need to sit down and watch Tick Tick Boom uh, on Netflix.
That's another one I
Lin-Manuel
haven't seen, but I is on my list.
That one might be too white guy obsessed with his own problems for you.
Might be, probably.
'Cause do you know what it's
I
about?
have a low threshold. Not super.
It's about the guy who wrote Rent. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and how he was like, "Oh no, I'm 30 and I haven't achieved anything.
Yeah,
My
I'm so old.
hero, my hero achieved things um, when he was 27, and
I'm not a child prodigy. I'm nothing.
yeah, basically, and him like kind of obsessing over a bunch of shit. So
Mhm.
um, it could be obnoxious, but like. Um,
Yeah, it would really depend on how they handle it. Because it's not like I've like would turn that off because sometimes it's an interesting examination of that sort of phenomenon.
well,
If it's self-aware enough, at least to,
have you seen Rent?
yeah.
Thoughts?
It's there. Yep.
So yeah, that's probably going to be your thoughts
Probably
on
not.
Click Click
It's probably
Tick
not my
Tick
thing.
Boom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not my thing.
Um, I
Probably
get
not
slightly
for old
defensive.
Alina.
I get slightly defensive of Rent just because uh, a lot of the reasons people use to hate on Rent are ignoring main facets of the plot. um, which frustrates me. It's like, well, of course you don't like it if you're not going to pay attention to what's actually happening in the musical.
Yeah.
Because people complain like, oh, these dumb idiots, they need to suck it up like adults and just pay their rent. And it's like, the problem is not that they were asked to pay their rent. The problem
No.
is they were asked to pay years worth of rent all at once.
All at once.
And also,
Which none of us could do, like, out
which
of the blue.
none of us can do out of the blue. Also, their former friend doesn't even really want them to pay rent.
Yeah.
Their former friend is just using this to blackmail them into helping him destroy a tent city of homeless people.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, like, the people who are like, Benny's the only reasonable adult in Rent, I'm like, no, he's a
No.
monster who is
Hmm.
trying to evict homeless people.
Yeah,
Like,
which is monstrous.
yeah.
What are
Um,
you doing, buddy?
it's like, and so who cares if Mark doesn't want to talk to his mom on the phone?
Yeah.
Benny wants to destroy the lives of dozens of, if not hundreds of homeless people. Like,
Yeah.
um,
That was the wrong hotkey. There's some good glow. Let's get some lightning going on here. Oh, thanks, Kuagari. This is a very cool kobold character. This is actually Metageekies. Metageekies kobold. I am very excited to be able to draw her. I hope I'm getting the details right.
oh, what is the campaign you're playing in Trash Heroes about?
Oh, we are a bunch of literally trash heroes. Like we're a bunch of like just crappy, weird creatures. Jeff's character literally like lives in the trash heap,
Good,
and
good.
is a little tiny kobold that eats trash. I am a wrestler who got into debt with the mob, and that was the reason for our first run, our first stuff that we had to do. Randy's character is raised at a brothel,
Mm-hmm.
and now is like has a street cart and sells food, but also is a busker.
Cool.
And then Peter's character is his long lost grandfather, who is accidentally an evil wizard. Basically, his wife was an evil wizard, and then they lived a nice normal life together, and she like maybe put aside her evilness while they were married. But then when she died, he found her spell book and now is doing evil warlock things, uh, kind of by accident.
Cool,
Um,
cool.
so he's come to like find his grandson, and he's got this bucket list. of like, here's the things that Barb and I wanted to do before she died, but she's dead now, so I need to do them for her. It's like kill a dragon, sleep with a dragon, like just like bizarre, ridiculous stuff. He's like bumbled back into his grandson's life, and my character is basically like sees Randy's character, the kid who was raised at a brothel, as her brother. So she's the big beefy orc fighter, and she's like, I will protect you from everything in the world.
Good.
I would give my life for you. So we're like these shitty, not actually adventurers who are going off on adventures now, and we're like, we're not heroes. We're
Good.
trash.
Good. Good.
It's fun. It's very good. We've done such horrible things as frame a man by making him actually sleep with a pig. And we definitely sold someone who was awful to the people at the brothel where Randy's character was made. We maybe sold him into slavery for a bit until he learns his lesson. We're not super nice people, but we are trying.
Cool. Sounds fun.
It is fun. I think next game we are going to have Zub come in and do a cameo,
Oh, cool.
which will be
Fun
cool. I
times.
haven't chatted with Zub since like 3 Gen Cons ago. Maybe not
Trying to
red.
think of other musicals that I really like. Thing is,
Mm,
all the musicals that I really like are never gonna get a movie because they're too
yeah,
weird.
yeah.
I really like the musical Assassins.
Oh, I don't know.
Um,
I've seen that one.
huh?
I don't know that I've seen that one.
It's about people who attempted to kill the president.
Good. Yep.
So it's like, uh, there is, basically like, it opens up and it's a carnival, and killing the president is like a carnival game. Um,
Interesting.
and so, really the subtext is all about how the American dream is a lie and fucks people's expectations up.
Yeah.
And it's set up as kind of all these different assassins hanging out and comparing notes, basically.
Huh.
With John Wilkes Booth, like, egging them all on, like, to go kill whatever president they attempted to kill. Um,
Interesting.
so there's, like, Giuseppe Zangara, like, it comes in and says, like, that his stomach hurts and he's
Mm-hmm.
tried everything, and John Wilkes Booth says, "But have you tried killing the president?" Um, and that's what he then tries to do. It also has
Called
like,
his stomach ache.
yes, which Giuseppe Zangara is like the saddest character in it. Because if I don't know if you know that much about him,
Mm-mm.
um, basically he had stomach pain for a super long time, um, and decided that the president was somehow like psychically causing him stomach pain.
Okay.
Um, and it was just the president, not a specific president.
Just the
Um,
president. The
because
concept of the president is causing him pain.
because he made a plan to kill Herbert Hoover, but then
Right.
Herbert Hoover lost re-election and FDR got elected, so he
But he still had
scrapped
a
that
stomach
plan.
ache.
So he
Yeah.
scrapped that plan and then tried to kill FDR. Um,
Right.
and there's also a bunch of conspiracy theories about him.
As you do
Um,
when the president is causing you pain, I guess?
Well, no, because it's the thing is like he shot at FDR in a super clumsy way.
Right,
So he got caught immediately.
right.
Um, and um, he but like the other person like on stage with FDR was the mayor of Chicago, and because he was an Italian immigrant, people thought he was involved with the mob and that the mob wanted
Oh,
him to kill the Chicago mayor. So he was just
oh.
claiming that he was trying to kill FDR to cover up that he was actually trying to kill the mayor of Chicago. Um,
Uh,
um, and it turns out that he had like on a legit medical problem, and that is why. And like
yeah, yeah.
it was either like his appendix burst, and so like the toxins in his blood were what was causing these delusions, or it was
Right,
cancer. I forget which one, but it was
right.
something like that. um and yeah.
This is
uh
why healthcare is very important, everybody.
yes. And then the musical Assassins also has a beautiful love duet, um, called "I Would Do Anything for." That's "I Am Unworthy of Your Love," and about doing things to prove that you're worthy of this person's love. And the male singer is the guy who tried to shoot Reagan to impress Jodie Foster.
Wow.
And then the female singer is
Wow.
Squeaky Fromme, who tried to kill the president because that's somehow going to have Charles Manson save America in her delusions.
Yup. Yup. Mm-hmm.
Uh, so she's singing
Ooh.
to Charlie and he's singing to Jody. And
Oh
it's
man.
very beautiful out of context, and then in context
It's just
is
creepy as all get.
Admiral. Yeah. Um,
That is an interesting concept for a musical.
yeah. I love Stephen Sondheim.
Hmm.
Uh, he does good shit.
Speaking of music, I have spent the past 2 or 3 days just listening to the Foo Fighters over and
Oh,
over and over
because
and
the
over
drummer
again.
died.
They are one of my favorite bands, and I am gutted.
I think I only know "Learn to Fly." Um,
Mm.
uh, I don't know that much of their other music.
They've wandered through some different styles, but they're mostly. I really love rock. I am big into rock. I've always been into rock.
Mhm.
It's been a rough couple years. Some of my favorite artists have been like, well, my favorite artist ever was Gord Downie.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Tragically Hip, but I am
No.
obsessed with them.
Uh,
They are a Canadian band. Their lead singer of the band, Gord Downie, had a brain tumor and like passed away a couple years ago, and I was he did one final concert that was absolutely transcendental. It was so good, and I spent the entire concert at my mother-in-law's house on the couch with a piece of apple pie and like just crying into my apple pie. And I'm not normally emotional over celebrities. Like
mhm.
celebrity deaths don't really hit me. I was whatever. But this one really got to me because he was just like his music was such a integral part of my childhood
Mhm.
that it was a big deal for me. So he passed, and then my other favorite artists were like Tom Petty.
Oh.
Like it's been a rough couple musical years for Alina in Alina Land.
Um. Well, you can just assume that if you have an artist that you really like, I either haven't heard of them or I only know their like biggest hit. Um,
Gotcha. Yeah.
uh, because I don't really seek out new music. I mostly
Mm.
just listen to musicals. Um, so, uh, like Stephen Sondheim dying, I was like,
Oh
oh
God, yes.
yeah. But
Yeah, that's a big
it's
deal.
like if people didn't say the drummer of the Foo Fighters, I wouldn't have known what
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did
yeah,
when people were saying he died.
yeah.
Uh, uh,
Sondheim was a big loss.
Yeah. He did a lot of my favorite musicals, like
Mm.
Assassins,
Hmm.
and Into the Woods, um, and West Side Story.
Yep. Oh yeah, Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington. Those were big losses too. And then I mean, of course, Bowie. Like Bowie was a week of me just listening to all of the albums, and I saved come on, brain, not Black Swan. The last one that he did, the one he wrote when he was dying for last, and that like killed me. It was so beautiful, but so sad.
You read Discworld stuff, right? You've read them.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
did you read the last one?
I did not. I have not read that one yet.
Oh, well, when you do read the last one, get ready to cry.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Good. Yep.
it's
Because
it's
it's
oddly
Pratchett.
it's oddly fitting that this was his last book. Like, if he
Oh.
had lived long enough to write a book after The Shepherd's Crown, it kind of would have been weird. It kind of would have felt weird that
Because
Shepherd's
it was like
Crown
the last
was,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean that's why I haven't read it. I know it will gut me. I've sort of been
um,
waiting for COVID to to give me some emotional bandwidth to then process the
yeah,
passing of Terry Pratchett. Because that was a big blow.
yeah,
Pratchett's audiobooks have gotten me through a lot of comics projects.
yep, same. Because I watched Encanto, I have surface pressure stuck under my head.
Good. I just I love that character design so much. And they
She's
had to
great.
fight to
Yeah, to
be
make her
allowed to
that
put
beefy.
muscles on
Yeah,
a female character.
yeah. I like that her
My
voice is a little bit deeper.
yes. I am such a sucker for a big brawny character that is a sweetheart.
Yes.
That is my jam, and she is perfect. Uh, it was one of the things I was like wishing that they had pushed a lot of the body types a little bit further because I was looking at the shot of the family all together, and I was like, beautiful family. Love that they did a lot of the different skin tones to make the two different moms look different enough, but they did not do enough with the body types, like
Uh-huh.
to make them visually distinct silhouettes.
Yeah.
I think the moms from a distance read as some of the daughters.
Yeah, the mom's, I think main character's mom
Yeah,
looks old
she should have
enough.
been she should have been maybe a little rounder. She's like this big lovely mom who cooks all the time, and that would have
Um,
made her have a distinct silhouette.
I think it's Weather Aunt.
Yeah.
Kind of has too similar a silhouette to her daughter with the super
Yes.
hearing.
Yeah. Same. Or agreed. I totally agree with that one. I
Um,
get why they made her sort of a skinnier lady because she was supposed to be really high strung, but like it
yeah.
did make her read as her daughter.
I think it's also like their hair is very similar.
It
So
is, yeah.
like if they had given um one of them like I feel like Aunt being high strung and having her hair up makes sense. So maybe should have had super listening um cousin like have
Yeah.
her hair down and maybe her ears still poke out.
Yeah.
Um but yeah.
Dolores, the one whose superhero or superpower is kind of,
Yeah.
hi, you get to hear everything that goes on in this town. Oh, not pretty hard enough living in a small town. Don't put that on a
Dry
kid.
Otter is saying it probably saved a lot of complexity in production if they were all similar enough to use the same rigging. That's probably true, but
Yeah.
Also, they're Pixar, Disney. They have all the money, so.
Exactly. Like, come on, splurge on a slightly altered character rig.
Oh, but when you were talking about seeing red, the reason why I specified is that it's Pixar is so Disney tries to kill any animation studio that's competition, but then when they
Yeah.
can't, they try to like um make them have a distinctly different brand than Disney. So it's
Yes.
like I
Yes.
think what they're trying to do
Like the whole
with
DreamWorks thing is allowed because they don't hone into Disney territory.
well also like they're too big for Disney to eat them up, but
Yeah.
like if when they acquired Pixar, if they had done it like slightly earlier, um, they maybe would have just absorbed Pixar in.
Mm.
Um, but now that Pixar is enough of a brand on its own, they need to make sure it's a completely different brand. So they're kind of
And their
like,
Disney house brand, yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like when Touchstone first got acquired by Disney, and Disney
Yeah.
was still doing family-friendly live action stuff. So they
Yeah.
tried to like distinguish Touchstone by making it like a little bit more um, darker or more serious, for
Hmm.
lack of a better word. So I think because Soul and now Turning Red, they're like more they're more adult, not in the like raunchy way, but like Soul
Yeah.
is kind of about like a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Um, and then Turning Red has all the horny teen stuff.
Yeah.
So those are like things that are more adult than the Disney brand would allow. Um, so if Disney budges on what can have queer stuff in it, it's probably going to be Pixar
Gonna go to
first.
Pixar. Hell yes. And boy, have they been champing at the bit to start doing some queer stuff. Oh, yeah, Gopher. I'm super mad about that too. Gopher was just bringing up the Disney acquired Blue Sky Studios and then
Mm.
killed the Nimona movie, which would have been Queer Dragon Girl, and like that's my jam. Please,
I'm
please make that a movie.
I'm less broken up about that because I did not like the source material, so I did not
I
have a
mean,
whole lot
fair.
of faith.
Yeah.
um, but I understand the point of like
Please give
that
me
would have
some
been
queer.
an important
Please not just give
milestone.
me. Don't give
Yeah.
me queer animation. Give the kids who are like turning red age right now
Yeah.
some good queer animation, please. Please, they need it. Just like a
Uh,
baby Alina needed it
well, it's
many
on
years ago.
Netflix. Um, did I tell you about the My Little Pony movie and how it's oddly
No.
good, the new one?
No, what?
Okay, the My Little Pony movie on Netflix, way better than I expected it to be. I
Wow.
watched it because I heard Republicans were mad at it for being too
Ha.
woke. So I,
Good.
I went and watched it and was like, well, I
That's a
can
good
see
reason to
why
watch a
the
movie.
like I was like, so I can see why the Republicans are mad about it because the plot is basically racism killed magic.
I mean, yes, correct.
Um, so it's like
Friendship is magic. Racism is the opposite of friendship.
yeah,
It
so
killed magic.
because it's like it's in a pony world where all of the ponies have like segregated themselves.
Right. This is like
Um,
years after the main six, right? Like this is
this
like
is
Pony
like
Future.
centuries after, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're legends.
Right.
Anyway, so um, all the Earth ponies live in their own place, and then all the
Right.
Pegasuses live in their own place, and the unicorns live in their own place. And they all have like racist propaganda about the others. Um, and then they find out that none of them have access to magic anymore. So
Because they're too racist.
yeah, so they have to their magic faded because they were not intermingling. So racist segregation killed magic. Like the Pegasuses can't fly anymore. The unicorns don't have
Oh,
magic.
damn.
Magic. Um,
They just
uh,
look like unicorns.
yeah.
They're like, we got
Uh,
horns and stuff, but we can't do magic.
So yeah, so it's
Fascinating.
yeah, so the main characters are on their journey um to um like figure out what happened to magic, and then through along the way they discover friendship and try to unite the other ponies, but then the villain of the piece decides to exacerbate racial tensions to gain political power
Oh,
and corporate profit.
I
um
love this already. So what you're saying is,
yes.
uh, racists and pervs killed magic? Stares
Yes.
directly into the screen at J.K. Rowling.
uh so yeah, um the songs are super catchy. Um,
Nice.
the villain who exacerbates racism for political gain
Yep.
um, sings a song about forming an angry mob, which uses some of the same beats as "Smells Like Teen Spirit," like like the same chords. Um, to the point where I was like, this sounds really familiar. I can't figure out why. And then I
Why do I
immediately
know
found a
this?
YouTube video where someone plays like the beginning of Smells Like Teen Spirit to the beginning of the Angry Mob song. And then people claim that, like, well, it's clear that this villain is supposed to be a Trump analogy. And I'm like, he's a red pony who's blonde. If they wanted him to be Trump, he would have been an orange pony.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yes. I
uh,
might have to go and watch the My Little Pony movie.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. So racism killed magic.
Good.
Um,
I think that's wonderful. Let's let's all reflect on that tonight.
yeah. So that's a that I was like, well, the queer animation's on Netflix, and then I remembered also the My Little Pony movie is woke as shit. But like
Good.
also, I didn't particularly like the Friendship is Magic ponies.
Mm,
Um, I didn't I thought the humor wasn't very good.
mm.
Um, and basically, I watched like the first two episodes and got bored and never revisited it. Um,
The
then
first season is also the most sort of like this is for small children.
yeah.
This is a very straightforward cartoon for small children.
Whereas the jokes in this one, like, I feel like were like genuinely funny.
Good.
Um,
Well, I'm about wrapped up here.
all right.
How are you
Thanks for
doing?
streaming.
No problem.
Um,
Thank you.
I'm glad I could let you know about the My Little Pony movie and
God, yes.
all of its nonsense. Um,
I'm
it's
glad
like,
that I could rant, or not rant, but
yeah,
like rave about how good Turning Red is. I love that film.
yeah.
I will go to bat for that
Uh,
film.
it's also like it's good enough that I know that they're gonna make a new My Little Pony TV series, and I'm like, well, if it's a lot of the same writers, then
I'm in on
maybe I
that
want
one.
to watch the new My Little Pony when it comes out.
Remember,
Um,
kids, racism
racism killed
killed
magic.
magic. Don't
Um,
be racist.
yep. All right.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for joining us today, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, you can find my stuff at kellmcdonald.com.
Yeah, and you can find my stuff at wheregeek.com or alenapete.com.
All right. Y'all have a good evening.
Yeah, see y'all later.